It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
We just love your questions. The emails that come through are so important about helping you to raise a happier family. Podcasts, that's podcasts with an S at happyfamilies.com.au. Kylie, we've received an anonymous email. Somebody who, well, we know who they are, but they don't want to be known because sometimes the things that we deal with in our families can be challenging and we just rather keep them to ourselves, but we need some advice.
Can I be anonymous?
Not now. Everyone knows you're you because I just said Kylie. I'm so sorry. Mrs. Happy Families, the surprise voice. Could you please tell us, what is it that this wonderful mum who's trying to get this right wants to know?
My 11-year-old daughter loves makeup and loves doing crazy, colourful eyeshadow looks. She's pretty good at it. She loves making videos on her iPad, and she's brought up recently about wanting to make YouTube videos. But I don't know if I want her all over social media like that, as she's not even a teenager yet. The internet can be a dark place and people can be nasty in their comments. Am I being reasonable, or should I let her upload videos?
I love this email. You can see a mum who really wants her daughter to embrace what she's enjoying. She wants to give her the platform and the opportunity to explore. And you can just see that 11-year-old sitting in front of the camera saying, and now I'm doing this and now I'm doing that. And she's getting so much mileage out of it. I mean, we can relate, right?
As you said that, I had a visual when my mum and dad got their first video recorder, and I was in the lounge room with my cousins, and we had turned the bin upside down, and he had his drumsticks and he was doing Dancing on the Ceiling by
Lionel
Richie.
What a feeling.
And she caught on camera as I did a swirl. I threw my skirt up in the air and you could see my undies. I still remember it to this day.
And your mum got stuck into you for that?
No, she didn't get stuck into me.
You still remember
that visual, and I'm so glad it's not on the internet.
Yeah, well, that's
so glad it's not on the internet.
Okay, so let's have a look at a snapshot of the real influence of social media creators on Gen Z. Gen Z are the ones that were born in the late 90s through to the early 2010s. So the oldest of them are in their mid-20s now. The youngest, and they're around about 12 to 14. Just at this young girl, 11, she's right on the very tail end of Gen Z, maybe even stepping into what's known as Generation Alpha. Here's what we know. 80% of our Gen Zs are using social media more than once a day. Females in Gen Z are higher social media users than males and than millennials, respectively. We've got 92% of Gen Z females compared to 82% of Gen Z males, and 88% of millennial females versus 80% of millennial males who are using social media. So this is where they live. 90+% of them are all hanging out right there. 73% of our Gen Z kids are following at least one influencer. Most are following many more, with 63% following more than 5. And 87% see influencer content every time, or most of the time, they're on social media. Now, I get this because when I'm in schools talking to students, I will often be approached. They know that I was on TV. They know that I know a bunch of influencers. They know that I've had contact with them, although I'm absolutely not one myself. And the kids, especially the girls, go crazy, Kylie. They go crazy because I happen to know some of Australia's best-known influencers. It's such a big deal for them. And this is the critical thing in relation to our anonymous emailer's letter. More than half of Gen Z Australians, 55%, said that they would leave their job to become an influencer if they had the chance. That's according to data from the Behavioural Architects, which was commissioned exclusively for The Australian this time last year, around about 9 to 12 months ago. So here's the thing. The internet is like the Wild West. It's essentially unregulated. Congress in the US is not doing anything to protect our kids. The Australian government is doing very little as well, although the E-Safety Commissioner is doing her best. And here's what I would say to this mum. Your daughter at age 11 is simply too young to navigate what I'm going to call absolutely unquestionably treacherous terrain. Social media platforms are notorious breeding grounds for toxicity and bullying. And this is especially the case for young and vulnerable individuals like this 11-year-old. But it's not just toxicity. I think this is a dangerous move.
Last week on This Week in Parenting.
I love that episode of our
This
podcast.
Week in Parenting.
This Week in Parenting. All right, carry on.
We shared the findings in a recent New York Times investigation, which looked into young girl influencer accounts, which are usually run by their mums.
Right.
And they found overwhelming evidence that those girls were receiving attention from pedophiles, and they're often being encouraged by their mums.
Yeah, like the men with bad ideas are being encouraged, not the girls, although the girls are being encouraged as well.
And the challenge you have is that to be TikTok or Insta famous,
Right.
it requires the need for likes and engagement and comments.
Right.
And with that, it means that parents and kids will do whatever is necessary to boost those followers in order to score brand names and
to earn the money.
Yeah.
And you know the scary thing about this, Kylie? The New York Times investigation showed that when parents who are trying to look after their kids and do the right thing while building this brand, when they would block or delete or report people who were absolutely just dirty and dangerous, the social media platforms stop boosting, stop elevating, stop putting the influencer in front of people. In other words, the account essentially withers on the vine.
Well, the evidence is there that if your daughter is in those situations, those risks are definite.
Yeah, they're guaranteed.
They're absolutely guaranteed. They're going to find themselves in those positions. I know saying no sounds really easy, but if you're chasing numbers, it's not so.
Especially once it starts to build, you get that momentum and you think, oh no, we've got to maintain it. Otherwise we're going to drop and we're going to lose the sponsorships and the opportunities. As a parent, you've got one job. Now, I know that not everybody's successful in what I'm about to say in spite of their very best efforts. And so this is not a shaming comment, but I really want to be clear about this. As a parent, your job is to guide your kids to make decisions that are safe and healthy, particularly while they are neurologically immature. That prefrontal cortex is not sufficiently developed. They can't plan and strategize. They're not looking to the future. They just see the thing in front of them. And when it comes to being an influencer, it's all about rainbows and balloons and confetti and fireworks. It looks so exciting. And our job, therefore, is to work through these hard questions with kids in ways that make sense to them. And that means not being afraid to be the authority figure in your child's life when you need to, when it's necessary.
She's 11. This is absolutely necessary.
Okay. This is necessary. Now, if you proceed and say, hey, sweetheart, you're 11, let's chase influencer status. Let's go there. You place your daughter in the firing line of unsavory comments that could impact her self-esteem. And
I don't think you can say could. They will. Absolutely. Once you put yourself in that position.
Guaranteed.
It's absolutely a guarantee, because the only reason that post exists is because you want to be accepted, you want to be liked, and you want to be seen.
So the impact on self-esteem, the impact on mental health and well-being, and then there's the pedos. From cyberbullying through to potential exploitation by strangers, these risks are real, they're significant. As a responsible parent, it's your duty to shield her from these dangers until she is mature enough and equipped enough to be able to handle them.
I'm just going to put it out there. Who is mature and equipped enough to deal with and handle all of those unsavory comments, exploitation? Who are they?
Okay, fair point. You win on that one. I don't even think many adults deal with that well.
As an adult,
yeah.
I don't deal with that.
Yeah, fair call.
Additionally, once something's out there in cyberspace, it's out there. You can't erase it. And like I said at the very beginning, I'm so glad that me lifting my skirt up while I was dancing as a 6-year-old is not plastered all over the internet.
Yeah, so there's that permanence thing, right? There's that permanence where if it's out there, it's out there. It doesn't come down.
Sadly, it could actually affect future prospects. It's out there, and once it's out there, it doesn't disappear.
Just because of some ill-conceived YouTube videos that she made as a child. Okay, one more really important thing. If your daughter dives headfirst into this world of social media and TikTok and Instagram influencing and YouTube and so on, what ends up happening is she just marinates in this message that her worth becomes tied to the likes and the views and the comments. And that becomes a recipe for major challenges.
As a mum, one of my main emphasis with my children is helping them to listen to their own voice. When we start seeking validation from strangers, this becomes really unhealthy for our kids and they actually dilute their own voice.
Right. And this is particularly the case with the power of YouTube. It's one of the world's biggest search engines. It is the world's biggest streamer. It's a bigger streamer than Netflix. YouTube has more streams than any other platform on the planet. Leveraging that to amplify her, taking this path really, it's threading the finest of needles. Now, I know that some people have done it successfully. I actually know some of the people who have done it. And I also know that every girl wishes that she could have the fame and the Insta success and the hashtags that a path like this promises. But for me, as a dad to 6 daughters, I just don't think the risks are worth it. So my advice is stay away. Taking this pathway, it's going to teach girls that their value lies in physical beauty and the approval of others, not healthy. We need to talk about what to do instead.
When I look at this situation and I see this young girl who has this creative flair for all things makeup and bright colours, my role as a mum is to help develop and grow that creativity, to encourage it and to create opportunities for her to be able to do that in a safe environment. So if it was me, I'd be bringing around a couple of friends. Maybe it's your girlfriends and she takes you through some makeup tutorials herself. Maybe she does make some videos and you have cousins and aunties and uncles come over and you have a movie night and you get to see all of the different tutorials that she's created. Maybe you enroll her in makeup classes so that she can actually further the talents and the creative flair that she's developing. Find avenues so that you can scaffold the love that she has in a way that keeps her safe and help her develop characteristic traits and qualities that are in line with an 11-year-old. She's 11. Let her be 11 for just a little bit longer.
We really appreciate the email podcasts with an S, podcasts at happyfamilies.com.au. If you would like to have your questions about making your family happier and getting your parenting right answered on the podcast, we'd love to help out. Again, podcasts with an S, podcasts at happyfamilies.com.au. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon for Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. And for more about making your family happier, please visit us at happyfamilies.com.au.